Hi everyone! Today we'll take a look at Team USA for the upcoming World Junior Championship. USA, as usual, has a very good team capable of going very far in this tournament. They look better than ever with tons of first rounder on their team, great forwards and defensemen talents, and obviously one of the best goalie prospects in the world in Spencer Knight. But will they be able to win it all this year? First, let's take a look at their forwards. First off, we have Matthew Beniers from the University of Michigan in the NCAA. He currently have a good 6 point in 8 games thus far. He just turned 18 back in November and will be one of the best prospect for the upcoming NHL entry draft, as his skill set and point total in the NCAA are really impressive for a young guy like that. Next, we have Brett Berard from Providence College in the NCAA. We only played 2 games thus far and no points. Last year, he played in the national program and had a good 34 points in 41 games and 18 in 13. He was drafted this year in the 5th round by the New York Rangers. In my opinion, he felt a bit too far in the draft, probably because of his height with his 5'9" frame. Next, we have left winger Matthew Boldy from Boston College, where he had a very impressive 8 point in 4 games thus far. Last year, playing for Boston, he recorded 26 points in 34 games. He was drafted last year 12th overall by the Minnesota Wild. He's a strong, skilled winger that could be one of USA's most important players. Next, we have Bobby Brink from the University of Denver. He currently have 3 assists in 3 games. Last year, playing with Denver, he had a good 24 points in 28 games. And last year, in the World Juniors, he also recorded 2 points in 5 games. He was drafted in the 2nd round last year by the Philadelphia Flyers. He probably slid a bit also because of his 5'8" frame, but has a very good, intriguing offensive skill set. Next, we have Brendan Brisson, the son of Pat Brisson, the famous agent. He's playing currently for the University of Michigan and has a good 7 point in 8 games. Last year, playing for Chicago Steels in the USHL, he had 59 points in 45 games, good enough to be drafted 29th overall by the Vegas Golden Knights. He's a very intelligent player on the ice. Next up, we have Cole Caulfield from the University of Wisconsin. He currently have a good 12 points in 10 games. And last year, playing for Wisconsin, he had 36 points in 36 games. He also played last year in the World Juniors and had only 2 points in 5 games. He was drafted in 2019, 15 overall by the Montreal Canadiens. He was looking for a stronger World Championship this year, as he's a year older. His shot is, with no surprise, his bigger asset, and probably has the best shot in the entire NHLers prospect. And also, his skating ability is really impressive. He will be a very important player for Team USA, especially on the power play, will he be very dangerous. Next, we have big winger Sam Colangelo from Northeastern University in the NCAA. He currently hasn't played thus far this year, but last year, playing for the Chicago Steels, he had 58 points in 44 games. He was drafted this year in the 2nd round by the Anaheim Ducks. He could be a very important player on the bottom 6. Next, we have center John Farinacci from the Muskegon Lumberjacks in the USHL. He currently have 8 points in 6 games. Last year, he played for Harvard University and had 22 points in 31 games. He was drafted last year in the 3rd round by the Arizona Coyotes. His main asset is his shot. Next, we have big left winger Artur Kaliev from the Hamilton Bulldogs in the OHL. He hasn't played thus far this year, but last year playing for Hamilton, he had a very impressive 98 points in 57 games. Last year playing in the World Juniors, he had 6 points in 5 games. He was drafted last year by the Los Angeles Kings in the 2nd round. He's probably a steal at this spot, as his shot is really impressive and be an important player on the power play. Next, we have Patrick Moynihan from Providence College in the NCAA, where he has no point in 2 games. Last year, he had 21 points in 34 games. He was drafted in 2019 in the 6th round by the New Jersey Devils. He's a good two-way forward. Next up, we have Landon Slaggert from the University of Notre Dame, and he has 3 points in 6 games this year. Last year, playing in the U.S. Development Program, he had 24 points in 47 games and 10 points in 19 games. He was drafted this year in the 3rd round by the Chicago Blackhawks. He's a big, strong, physical winger. Next up, we have center Alex Turcotte from the Los Angeles Kings in the NHL. He hasn't played thus far this year, but last year, playing for Wisconsin, he had 26 points in 29 games, and in the World Juniors, 2 points in 5 games. He was drafted last year 5th overall by the LA Kings. He will look to have a bigger role this year and be one of USA's most important forwards. His hockey sense is really exceptional, and he's just a good overall player, and will look to crack the LA Kings roster for next year. Next up, we have also a very high IQ player in Trevor Zegras from the San Diego Gulls in the American Hockey League. He hasn't played thus far for them, but last year, playing for Boston University, he had 36 points in 33 games. And in the World Junior last year, 9 assists in 5 games. He was drafted last year 9th overall by the Anaheim Ducks and will try to crack the roster. He's an elite two-way forward and has a very impressive playmaking ability. He will be another player to watch on the power play for Team USA, as he will try to feed Caulfield or Kaliev. Now, starting at defense, we have Brock Faber from the University of Minnesota in NCAA and has 1 point in 6 games thus far. Last year, playing in the U.S. Development Program, he had 12 points in 46 games and 9 points in 19 games. He was drafted in the 2nd round this year by the LA Kings. He's a very great skater. Next up, we have Drew Ellison from Boston College. He has played this year 4 games and had 3 points. Last year, for Boston, he had 6 points in 28 games. He was drafted last year in the 2nd round by the Colorado Avalanche. He's a very good defensive defenseman and great offensive tool. Next, we have Ryan Johnson from the University of Minnesota, where he has 4 points in 6 games thus far. Last year, he had 8 points in 37 games for them. He was drafted in 2019 31st overall in the 1st round by the Buffalo Sabres. He probably will have a great role on Team USA, as he's a very skilled skater with good hockey sense. Next, we have Tyler Kleven from the University of North Dakota, where he has 1 goal in 3 games thus far. Last year, in the U.S. Development Program, he had 12 points in 45 games and 2 points in 17 games. He was drafted this year in the 2nd round by the Ottawa Senators. He's a big 6'4" body and isn't shy to throw hits. Next, we have Jackson Lacombe from the University of Minnesota, where he has 2 points in 6 games, and last year 13 points in 37 games. He was drafted last year in the 2nd round by the Anaheim Ducks. He's a good puck-moving defenseman. Next, we have Jake Sanderson from the University of North Dakota, where he has a good 3 points in 3 games thus far. Last year, playing in the U.S. Development Program, he had 29 points in 47 games and 14 points in 19 games. He was drafted last year 5th overall by the Ottawa Senators. He will probably have a big role on Team USA's defense, as he's a very complete defenseman with great offensive tool. Next, we have big 6'3" defenseman Hunter Skinner from the London Knights in the OHL. He hasn't played this far this year, but last year he had 32 points in 62 games. He was drafted last year in the 4th round by the New York Rangers. He's a big physical defenseman. Next, we have Henry Tron from Dubuque Fighting Saints in the USHL, where he has no points in 2 games thus far. Last year, playing for Harvard University, he had 21 points in 31 games. He was drafted last year in the 4th round by the Anaheim Ducks. Another Anaheim Ducks on this team. He's a very good, smart defensive defenseman. Next up and last defenseman, we have Cameron York from the University of Michigan, where he has thus far 5 points in 8 games. And last year, he had 16 points in 30 games. He played last year in the World Juniors but had no points. He was drafted last year 14 overall by the Philadelphia Flyers. He's a very good complete defenseman and will probably be one of USA's most important players. Now, starting at goal, we have without a doubt the number one goalie in Spencer Knight from Boston College. This year, he has a very good .955 6 percentage in 4th game, and last year he had a .931 save percentage in 33 games. Last year, playing in the World Juniors, he had .913 save percentage. He was drafted last year 13 overall by the Florida Panthers. He will be a huge difference maker for Team USA and be one of the best goalie of the tournament along with Askarov. Now, next goalie, we have Logan Stein from Ferris State University. He hasn't played thus far for this university, but last year he played for the Waterloo Blackhawks and had a .911 save percentage. He probably will be the third goalie on the team. Now, last goalie, we have Dustin Wolf from the Everett Silvertips in the Western Hockey League, where last year he had an impressive .935 save percentage in 46 games. Last year, he just got a taste of the World Juniors and had an .850 save percentage. He was drafted last year in the 7th round by the Calgary Flames. A total steal in my opinion, probably because of his only 6'6" body. But he's a very skilled goalie, but I don't think he will surpass Knight. So, what do you think of Team USA? They surely have a pretty strong team this year. Especially, their forward core is absolutely stacked with talents, with guys like Caulfield, Zegras, Turcotte, and Kaliev. They also have a pretty strong defense core and amazing goalie in Spencer Knight. I think they could absolutely win the gold. So, thanks for watching, and like the video if you liked it, and subscribe for more hockey videos.